So around a year and a half back, I happened to visit a police station in the hope of actually getting back a wallet I had lost. When I went there, I saw what I really expected. There was a creaky fan. There were signs of neglect very well evident from the cobwebs that were outlining the walls of the police station. The paint was half scraped off. There was a lot of mess with storage, the files, papers stored almost everywhere from the racks to the chair to even the floor, and made the entire site of the police station highly disorganized. And looking at it, all I could think at that point of time was thesis topic mil gaya. However, it was what happened after this that made me take this entire thought of choosing this topic as my thesis a step forward. Coincidentally, that night happened to be the birthday of the inspector in charge, and it was celebrated with a single chocolate, with all the inspectors from the other rooms coming in, wishing him, and going back to their duties. And within minutes, the police officer was back to take down a complaint of the missing wallet. And that happened to be a simple preview into the life of a police person for me. A person devoted to and bound by duty 365 days of the year. And it is even after this what followed, the kind of concern that was showed forward, the kind of, even when I had given up on finding the wallet, they had taken it forward to a point where they were actually continuing the search. And it was that concern for something as meager as a case as this that put to light what service the police do for us, and thus my thesis began. The encounter. Re-envisaging the police station realm. The topic takes up this cause of the current plight of the police stations of our city to kind of study what it is and see possibilities of how it could be made better. And as for the police, we have all seen them. The question lies as to if we've ever noticed them. They're doing duties in the scorching heat of the sun. They're managing festivals almost every year away from their families, which when we celebrate them as holidays, they're patrolling around even through the night, all for our safety. And all of this happens for us, for the community, done invisibly. And the workspaces present for the same are very incompetent. Thoughtful design has a power to make a person feel respected and seen. Hence, the design of a police station can actually be a means to kind of give back to the police for the it could be put in. It could be a means to kind of take forward the entire aspect of the police station of simply being a redundant space where they work from. The police station is the most important part of policing, as it is the intermediate between the police and the people. It is the formal connect. It is the personification of the police to the city. It becomes our go-to place during any times of negative happenings, may it be theft, robbery, kidnapping, rape, etc. It becomes our go-to place, and in return what the police do is bring back to the society, give back to the society in the form of hope, safety and security. In this process of actually giving back out positivity, the entire environment in and around the police station ends up having a very negative and critical vibe because of the kind of sights of despair, vulnerability, disturbing sights in the form of arguments and verbal duels, serious discussions, the entire overall tense, silent atmosphere that exists over there. And it makes it quite ironic, as for a body which is supposed to be the symbol of positivity, it itself has an environment of this sort. The entire research was done in a manner where it was studying the entire environment of a police station with respect to its environment or its two key users, that is the visitors who would be visiting the police station and the police persons themselves. With respect to the visitors, it was observed how the stern and tense atmosphere, along with the non-segregation of the public zones from the convict zones, and even the visual opaqueness that most police stations had, made the entire experience of visiting the police station highly intimidating. Examples of a few of these things noticed in police stations would be the Oshiwara station, where you had the station house, the most public part of the station where the complaints are lodged, actually located deep into the depth of the police station, involving a person to actually have to pass through the serious functions, eventually leading to a space which you call public in the midst of something which is very private. Coming to Amboli police station, you had the very station house itself had a lockup located for the convicts, which made the entire vibe of the entire space very, very uncomfortable for a person coming. And with respect to Chamber police station, Kaf Parade police station, almost every other police station of Mumbai which kind of has those debarring compound walls and blank facades, it makes a person feel psychologically disconnected with the outside, making them uncomfortable and creeps in this kind of feeling of unsafety all in all. With respect to the police, one undeniable aspect of their lifestyle is the work stress. Mumbai police themselves have been found to having many of the officers falling prey to heart ailments and all because of the amount of stress that is there. All of this comes down to because of the amount of crime they witness almost on a daily basis. They interact with mentally unsound people. They need counseling themselves most of the time. There is this lack of societal connect that is there. There are predefined notions that people have about the police. There is too much work pressure, which is very relevant in our case, where the workforce doesn't show proportion to that of the amount of people they cater to. There is unsatisfactory pay and there is sparse family time, which all has a toll on their health. And eventually, the workspace that they work from doesn't kind of compensate for the same. You have police stations like DN Nagar and Shivaji Nagar actually working from residential buildings. And it comes down to why. Why are police stations in Mumbai existing the way they are like this? The grassroots cause of this comes down to be the entire development of our city over the years, and especially the DP of 1981, which did not very strategically plan out police stations in our city, which resulted in police stations having to creep into the existing fabric once it was formed and having to fit in wherever space was. Even the aspect of slums being an undeniable aspect of Mumbai plays an important role. Well, they became the birthplace of crime happening on the outskirts of the city up and until our city grew to them. And now as we see, our slums are within our city for a reason and they became an integral part, and now the police have to kind of work out to kind of eradicate crime from a problem which was created years back. The very formation of it, if it could have been avoided, could have been a great boon to the entire aspect of a city to kind of reduce crime. So the site chosen for the same is DN Nagar police station. It was recorded to have the highest number of crime, it was supposed to have the highest crime rate in the western suburbs. The entire station is very idealistically located, where it has a main road of the Andheri link road happening right adjoining it, which connects to two other main arterial roads on the north and south, which connects the entire precinct further. You have the entire zone around the police station mainly as residential. The main reason for choosing this station as a site is again the fact that it runs from the first two floors of the police quarters building. And what results is now the police and the people living in the building have share the same compound, they share the same building and even the same circulation corridors for that matter. With respect to the entire space quality within the station, there is a lot of compromise seen in many of the spaces which are otherwise required. There is dingy lighting. As you can see, most of the police inspector rooms over here do not have any external facade too, because of the kind of haphazard growth that has happened in the form of this extended shed to kind of meet the needs of the police station. You have insufficient spaces for working. You have storage almost coming in wherever possible. And all in all, the entire environment of the police station is very dull and mundane, again having an impact both on the police and the people coming in. Hence, the main intent of the proposal comes down to meet the need of the two key users, that's the people and the police. With respect to the police, it is to ensure that there is better physical and mental health ensured by the work environment, which will eventually result in better work output. And with respect to the people, it is to make the entire precinct have an unintimidating vibe to it. So now for a person coming, they don't have to feel scared. And this would eventually help better the kind of trust equation that is there between the people and the police. It would better the rapport. And all of this would together lead to better policing. And better policing leads to nothing but a safer society. A very important question which my thesis poses at this point is, what would a safe society be? Wouldn't it be where crime is low? And how can crime be low is the question. It would actually be when crime is actually eradicated rather than solved once it has been committed. And this entire aspect of crime solving in the scenario of our Indian context of policing comes down from the British era. And not much has changed since then. Crime eradication is something which a policing system is actually working towards too, where you have this aspect of mohalla committees and all coming in Mumbai itself to kind of, better the rapport and help kind of remove crime right at its genesis. And the genesis of all crime comes down to be the lack of education, which is basically not knowing the difference between the moral right and the moral wrong. This further leads to the lack of means of livelihood because of lack of education, which leads to poverty, which can be considered the truest evil in society because that leads to a number of crimes which are persistent. And hence the entire design looks at police station as not only as a body which a person will go up to when they require it, but as a means which could actually be a source of positivity to get rid of these kind of societal evils. How can police station be a means to kind of spread education? How can police station be a means for people to have means of livelihood? How can police station be a means to help people find solutions? Hence, the entire basis of the design becomes of the police station not being a mere development in the sense of a design, that is renewing a police station building, but re-looking at the police station building as a means of a change with the community in mind now. So as a community development, it re-looks at the roles of police now as not simply being imprisoners, but being police as educators, police as intermediators, police as counselors, and the entire police station becoming the kind of space to kind of allow this kind of new change to kind of brew. So the entire, to kind of take this forward, the design finds it very important, has found it to be very important to kind of introduce this public realm coming into the design. This will help in four main ways, primarily for the police health, where physical fitness and the mental health of police is very important. An open ground which kind of gives the space to kind of practice physical fitness in the same plot as that of the police station would be a great boon. Besides, the Marine Drive Gymkhana and the Worli Gymkhana are the only two limited gymkhanas that are actually available in all of Mumbai, which makes it a dire need of the hour. Apart from that, there's the value of nature to kind of have this kind of positive mental health effect is already known. With respect to the people, it would create this kind of unintimidating experience to kind of visit the police station. And all in all would help the city become more vibrant with this kind of when a vibrant public realm comes in. And with respect to policing, this entire intervention would help to kind of strengthen the rapport between the people and the police, now allowing chance encounters become a space where community gatherings could happen altogether. To kind of rezone the functions on site, the entire aspect of the police housing was proposed to be pushed to the vacant Mahada plot that was located immediately behind the site. The public realm kind of comes into the picture now, where the entire emphasis on it is further increased by introducing this kind of public realm, which now goes further under the police station by raising the police station on stilts. You further have the entire axis of the police station rotated to give a physical buffer and mainly a psychological buffer from the upcoming metro station that's coming up. Once you move ahead, the entire detailed realm is further detailed out, given character, and it is further taken forward by taking advantage of the depression of on site. So there is a existing 0.9 meters, around 1 meter depression that exists of the site with respect to the entire public realm now depresses down with respect to the pavement level, and you have these earth berms that come around it, which all in all kind of make the entire public space a kind of a safe haven, cut off from the chaos from the city, makes it like a secluded zone within the same plot, a more secure zone in a way. The interventions on this outdoor realm include the outdoor gymnasium, where now the entire stand of having indoor gymnasiums in the police station was questioned, where because of the lack of maintenance and enough funds, the entire meaning of the police gym was lost in the longer run, where it ended up becoming this kind of mundane space which police failed to use because of the kind of ambience it had and because of the lack of maintenance too. Apart from that, it was found statistics wise how 93 police stations out of 93 police stations, only 20 have gyms, and that too they do not have enough funds to kind of maintain it. So this kind of outdoor public gymnasium and outdoor realm, which kind of promotes physical activity, becomes a very important insert, as it has zero running cost and even almost zero installation cost after a very low installation cost as compared to that of the gymnasiums inside. Apart from that, the other important insert which was introduced for the design was a chai tapri, where it was found how often it was over here that most of the police came down for taking a break and discussing discussing cases and work related stuff informally. The entire ambience has been made such that it kind of overlooks this interesting public realm that exists. You have extensions to it in the form of charging points and newspaper stands, which takes forward the idea of the chai tapri being a pause point. You have informal seatings in the form of the hammocks and the kind of earthworms coming in. And again, what it does is it's based on the entire research of how stress busting the act of simply lying or being in nature can be. Again, meditation spaces became a very important aspect where to de-stress the police inspectors. So having such a space on the same plot as that of the police station, could actually be a very helpful insert to kind of take forward the aspect of, performing yoga, performing meditation on a daily basis in the lifestyle of the police. You have it very strategically located at the back of the site, away from the entire chaotic road and along the silent tertiary road. You have landscaping becoming an important means to kind of further seclude this zone from the activities happening around. You have a kid zone coming in, which is again a very important insert, keeping in mind of means to kind of strengthen the rapport. It is known that research has proven that the ages of 30s, 40s and 50s is the time when people have predefined notions, and it's very difficult to get rid of them. It is the youth which needs to be targeted, if a notion has to be kind of removed. So having this kind of zone on the police plot for the kids kind of brings the kids a step at police. It kind of gives a chance for the police to kind of interact with them and kind of include them as a part of society, because they are the future in the end. Moving forward, the entire part of the plot where the metro would exit has been given back to the city in the form of a plaza space, which again happens next to the chai tapri, making it a very imagining it as a very interesting pause point in the entire busy lifestyle of the people coming and taking refuge under the seatings now. Entire provisions of flag hoistings can also now happen here, which is an important part of the police schedule of where every Independence Day, Republic Day, there are these parades that happen. So now you can have people being a part of it, being spectators simultaneously when it happens in a space like this. So what this entire public realm results in is something that is socially inclusive. The police station is now open to all classes of society, to all age groups of people, and the entire environment around it becomes less intimidating for a person. So entire psychological connect of the police station being a negative space is removed. Now coming to the main built form of the police station, a number of design inserts have been thought of, where the entire still space has been imagined to be a multi-purpose space, which would have functions that would help better the entire community, taking forward the entire aspect of crime eradication. You have the entire journey that has been curated and thought of for people who come to the station. With respect to the entire police station coming above, you have the entire aspect of the light atrium and a porous facade that comes in to be important aspects with respect to the designing of the police station. That will be discussed forward. Just coming to the main circulation patterns that have been worked out. So you have a separate police circulation zone worked out behind on site, where you have their drop-off happening independently. All the convicts, VIPs could be brought in here without hampering the entire public circulation happening otherwise. You have public parking and the basement for police parking being worked out. Apart from that, the entire still space now becomes this kind of free zone which a person would pass while coming to the station. What this has been envisaged to be is this kind of multi-purpose space where you would have temporary functions in the form of, say, community meetings happening. The police coming and interacting with the community about issues relating to the community. You have awareness drives that can take place. You have schooling for the homeless that could take place on a more permanent basis. You have aspects of job finding portals that could come in. Other public service drives and camps to organize press conference and all could now be used. So now this kind of public realm kind of extends the idea of police stations being just for lodging complaints, but takes it forward to now get rid of the entire aspect of where crime starts for, becoming a more positive insert. It could now have a space to engage with the youth, with the community. The mohalla committees that exist, this becomes a space for them to kind of have meetings more seriously. It gives a space to the community in the police station. It makes them felt important. Again, aspects of night schoolings could be brought in as more permanent functions, where the police station now becomes activated even at night. So for people coming to police stations at night, they don't have to feel scared all in all. Apart from that, other permanent functions in the form of old age homes and all old age homes, daycare centers, medical dispensaries, welfare centers, workspaces for NGOs, which all show compatibility with the police station, could be all inserted. So now what the police station becomes is a space to learn, grow, become independent, and to find solutions. It becomes a true source of positivity and radiating positivity out in the society in every sense. Coming to the entire aspect of the police station and coming to the main working zones and the entire circulation for a person visiting the police station, the entire journey has been curated keeping in mind the kind of mental baggage people come with. Most of the times people that come, they are victims and have a lot of mental trauma. So the entire aspect of entering the police station has been thought of as being that in a garden. You have this extended setback being created where a person is actually feeling himself getting cut off from the chaos of the city. There is a elevated pathway which is further emphasizing on this cut out aspect of cutting out the city chaos and entering this new zone where they can finally find hope. The plinths also at the entrance have been made in a manner where they are at seating level, which would again take forward the entire observation made where people coming to the police station come with big families to kind of lodge complaints, to kind of talk after that and discuss the issue. And this kind of gives an extended space to them to kind of use this kind of space in the police station more meaningfully. Coming to the entire aspect of introduction of escalators, the entire therapeutic walk that was first thought of is further continued in the form of the escalators to not break the entire journey. A person arrives to the police station finally at the 6 meters level, after which the entire zoning gets broken down according to the different requirements. The entire mass of the police station is further broken down to insert this kind of break in the middle in the big monotonous mass. The entire aspect of porosity was always known in design and was hence inserted in the form where this cutout is made in the built form to have this kind of porous facade coming in. This entire space becomes a very sensitive space for me in the design, where it was symbolic of how the police would actually be protecting the people. It's very symbolic of that, the way the tree protects this kind of space over here where the tree comes up. It's very symbolic of that, and further it was taken forward in to make more drama out of the form where it was given this angle, and you had this light coming in and filtering down through the tree and coming down. And this space, once a person reaches this zone, there is this kind of conscious change in zone, changes space that happens, which kind of gets a person to feel like yes, they are actually being protected by the police. Again, the service cores and the toilets and all were added to finally achieve functionality in the entire police station. The entire work zone breakdown happens in a manner where you have the public realm coming in. It has been given a double heighted effect to kind of make it more welcoming. You have the crime level, that are the work levels, the crime and the admin level coming in as the work levels, and the rest levels coming in as the post duty hours level and the barracks level. Moving on, the entire light atrium connects the entire police station's length and breadth. What this does is it not only allows natural light to come in, but it also visually and acoustically connects the entire station together. It makes it easy for the visitors to actually comprehend the entire station now at once, which otherwise became difficult for a person visiting any other police station for that matter. It's like what happened behind those closed doors stayed behind those closed doors most of the time. So there's this sense of superficial transparency that exists, and it kind of removes the kind of daunting effect of being in a place where you don't know what's happening beyond that. Again, this kind of partial visual connect between the jail cells and public zones was done in an attempt to kind of remove the aspect of police related violence, to kind of be a little debarring for the police inspectors too, to kind of carry forward those activities, and this kind of acoustical connect that exists. Moving on to kind of going into detail and explaining each floor at once, you have the public level having the waiting space and centrally located, the help desk located with all the other station houses, the passport verification center located. Interventions which was seen in other parts of Mumbai, like in Coimbatore, where there was zones sensitive to kids and women, that was taken forward as a very vital insert, where you have a separate women's zone to kind of take down complaints. You have this zone kind of reaching out into the public realm, which is zoned for kids to kind of help them feel psychologically connected with the outside, to know where they are, and hence have a zone which is kind of comforting for them. All in all, you have this kind of visual hierarchy given to the higher inspectors, the public relation officers, and the senior inspectors in the form of this entire mezzanine that's created. Eventually you have this in the form of the split that is there. You eventually have the mezzanine coming in, where you have other functions in the form of the public meeting space, which would be very useful for when the DCP and the ACP comes in for the weekly visits and to kind of supervise on the happenings of the police station. You have other technical requirements of the police station in the form of the dispatch room, the public counseling room, etc. So this is the entire public level that is present of the police station. taking forward the entire aspect of the kids zone, where the entire psychology of the kid was studied to understand how important it is for them to feel secure by actually being connected with the outside. So the entire details have been worked out in a manner where the entire kids zone would be cantilevering out with the help of a truss. The entire idea of the truss is also kind of tweaked, where instead of having vertical members, it is tweaked to kind of match the angle of the front facade and have these counterbalancing cables coming in. The details have been worked out as follows. Apart from that, you have the entire crime level coming in with the crime inspector at its apex, as the apex invigilator of the entire floor. You have this flexibility in the workspace, where for the entire force you have these desk related job space, and you have space for even carrying out discussions and an outdoor break space. The entire jail cells have been zones segregated for separately for females and males. And as for the juvenile detention space, it has been reimagined as not really being a detention cell. The fact that they are juveniles, there is way more scope to kind of refurbish the entire aspect of removing them outside the crime equation by proposing it as a library. So the entire space where the juveniles could now be kept would be in a space which promotes education, which promotes learning. Apart from that, as you move forward, you have the admin level coming up. Again, very technical spaces, very technically planned, where you had all the space requirements in the form of different functions. The admin level inspector and the law and order level inspector become the head of the floor. Briefing rooms become a very important part, where for the daily rosters actually given out to the inspectors, you have this kind of meeting space being flexible to kind of carry out discussions with big groups now for planning out, say, festivals, how the entire planning would have to happen when VIPs come in, how that would be worked out. All of that could happen on this floor. Here is a closer look into the activities, where you have, the ammunitions room, the record rooms, which come under the admin inspector. And then you have the law and order inspector taking care of the entire surveillance of the area in terms of the festival management, etc. With respect to the crime level, you have the discussion space and the open desk space with a lot of light coming in from the entire porous facade that has been proposed. Moving forward to the rest levels of the police station, you have the post-duty hours workstation, where the police inspectors could actually come and finish their work post the duty hours, which was I actually observed most of the times. They didn't have space for this. And then you have this extended workspace and indoor game zone for them to de-stress. You have a dining space for them to actually come and have their lunch. So there are these zones which are now segregated for different functions which are otherwise not present in most police stations. Finally, the entire aspect of the barracks level is provided for both men and women separately according to the requirement, the workforce requirement and the norms that were present in the entire police station designing code. And this is a closer look into the spaces where the outdoors sit out, the post break, the post duty hours break space is present, changing rooms, etc. from the barracks level. Coming forward to the detailing of the entire aspect of the porous facade, it was tried to be made more haphazard, more interesting rather than repetitive. So you have these kind of units of a flower bed, louvers, glass members, etc. coming in, which are haphazardly placed and attached to the entire slabs of the structure through these kind of joineries, where you have the steel member coming in, getting attached to the entire vertical member. And this is taken forward. There is this kind of slight inclination which happens where it kind of tapers outwards, which would be noticed actually in the section. Yeah, the section in this view, it's tapering outwards to kind of add more dynamics to the form. The entire material palette chosen is to kind of represent the entire khaki clothed attire of the police inspector, where the khaki stands for the indigenous force that they are, the kind of rooted and grounded force they are, and hence the material used is also something which is very earthy. There is terracotta used on walls along with white, which stands for purity, kind of creating the entire material palette, making the entire look of it very grounded and earthy, and provides this kind of dignity to the police force. It kind of represents them in a light which personally as an architect I feel is something which is required. Other aspects of sustainability have been provided in the form of rainwater harvesting, where the green space provided becomes 100% on Mother Earth and becomes 100% percolating ground. You have solar energy being used for supplying most of the power requirements of the entire station. And the entire green lung all in all becomes like this very vibrant, psychologically comforting zone, and provides a lot of oxygen, which I'm guessing is something a city requires because of the amount of pollution and all that is there. So in conclusion, what I would like to say is this proposal not only looks at providing for the police and providing for the people in terms of the space requirement. I think a major part of my thesis mainly focuses on providing for the policing. It really wanted to look at ways where the community could be made safer at large, the community could be made a happier place, and that undeniably goes down to the grassroots causes of what makes the community what it is today. The crime and all creeps in from right where poverty starts, where lack of education and lack of having basic means to livelihood starts, and that as a community, if we care about along with the police, together we can make the entire city, the entire community a much happier place. We are in a city where a community is not just one religion or one type of nationality. It is about totality. It's about everybody existing together as one, as a humankind. So I mean, that is where the entire ground stands. And I have mentioned here how community policing is something our police force is also striving today. Bangalore, Goa in India are one of the first few cities to kind of take up this cause of community policing, and there are efforts being seen. So taking forward that aspect, that kind of concern that is showed by them, would all in all help make the entire aspect of our country a much better place to live in, a more livable city. I'll just run through the entire ARD report and of what all has been thought with respect to that. You have the entire water requirement that is calculated according to the entire standard norms that are there to finally find the entire water requirement of the station with respect to the number of people that would be using it. And you have the underground tank provisioned in the basement level, along with the fire tank and all the requirements as met. The landscape requirement has also been found out, and all of this comes down to finding out how, to what extent rainwater harvesting can kind of suffice the need of water. The rainwater harvesting tank has been placed under the entire earth berm, which is located at the entrance while a person is actually walking up to the station. It has been zoned over there. The amount of water that would be collected has been calculated to hence decide the size of the tank that would be thus required. The entire green lung becomes a space to kind of percolate and then hence retrieve back the water through the recharge bore well that has been located to next to the entire rainwater harvesting tank throughout the year. With respect to the energy consumption on each level, a rough estimate has been brought down as to what the total requirement would be, and accordingly the per day energy consumption has been calculated to find out the number of panels that would be required. Considered that one solar panel would be generating 325 watt energy of electricity. Apart from that, being a public body, firefighting becomes one of the most important aspect to consider for this, and all of those provisions have been met simultaneously according to the fire norms. You have the entire public level still, the entire sprinkler layout laid out, along with the entire aspect of the hose drill and how that could work out, and if that would how that could actually reach every aspect of the police station, every part of the police station. You have the fire duct and electrical duct running along the entire shear wall of the lift, taking it through and through the entire building. With respect to the structural system, the material palette of steel has been used. A composite structure with steel and RCC has been used, where the entire walling system becomes reinforced masonry wall. Again, for the need of considering the amount of the requirement of basic strength for the structure, and to meet also the entire requirement of the diagonal wall. The detail has been worked out as follows, where you have the entire reinforcement running and the entire building blocks coming in and building the diagonal wall to finally be laid on with plaster to have a clean finish coming in. There are customized steel members used for the entire diagonal of to kind of have this kind of seamless finish to it. Landscape details where you have the rainwater gutter happening more seamlessly, more invisibly, not coming in as a very visual aspect being worked out. Again, the transition from the pavement to the entire berm has been tried to be made more inviting, where there is no break now, so it becomes more inviting for a person to kind of enter. The entire cantilever truss and how the entire angle and all has been worked out to kind of match the entire geometry that was followed for the entire structure. These are a few of the details regarding that. The entire angle that was followed for the entire front facade of the station, the entire porous facade, which has been given this angle to kind of self-shade the floors beneath and have this kind of dynamic that comes into the form for the same. Here are a few of the details are indicating how the joinery has been worked out. There are composite members that are used to kind of work out the same frame of the entire porous facade. And simultaneously, this is the entire basement parking layout for meeting the requirement of parkings of the police vehicles, which connects again to the entire floors on top. And these are few of the additional analysis that was carried out during the entire research phase for the site, where you had the patrolling managed out, you had the entire location of the metro station very vividly plotted, which comes very close to the site, and hence the entire proposal of connecting the metro station to the site has been proposed to be again an additional thought of how inclusive and how livable a city can get. So even for the people coming to the metro or leaving the metro, the entire experience could get curated as something more as a pause in the plaza. These are a few other images which kind of portray the entire scenario of the police station right now. I think I'd like to conclude here. Thank you so much for your